of mankind has rapidly increased at a very fast rate.
And will continue to increase.
It's like technology, you know.
But it's wrongly directed. That's the problem. Just like the knowledge back at the Tower of Babel. See? And if it was left up to man, and he had only one language, and he could communicate and cooperate, the end time would have come faster.
And if the great library of Alexandria, Egypt, with all the Greek scientists, all the information that was contained in there, if that did not burn down, mankind would have developed, advanced at a very fast rate.
Well, you see, there's another thing.
Which would accelerate the end time prophecy.
The people like the Koch brothers and etc., they don't like libraries and things because it's free for you to go in there and sit down and educate yourself.
They don't want.
They don't like you to be educated.
They don't want the masses to be educated.
Correct.
They want to dumb down the masses.
Correct.
So
then they'll work for 32 cents an hour.
Like Foxconn in mainland China,
Yeah.
32 cents and 32 cents an hour, or even worse, Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And they.
And Bangladesh, you know, they reported so many people killed in that fire. No, it was a lot more.
Right, and this is a factory where Disney and Walmart and maybe other companies had their goods produced.
And guess what was lacking?
With no regulations.
I was just going to say that.
No safety.
Regulation?
No safety. Rules applying with that.
Those things cost money. God forbid they will eat into my profit. Even though they're tax deductible.
Safety guidelines. I was looking for a word. Safety guidelines.
OSHA.
OSHA did not apply to those overseas manufacturing plants in these third world countries. And the Bangladeshis were getting 14 or 16 cents an hour. It was less than 20 cents an hour.
Yeah.
So they even cheaper than the mainland China. But
Foxconn, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's all done by the big boys to earn more profits.
It's all about greed.
Correct. And there's the problem. Our economic system is set up wrong. Pure and simple. Okay? E.J. Dionne, who is a columnist, is not only a Washington Post journalist, he's now an economist. When has government stimulus under any president created any type of long-term sustainable growth? Perhaps once in history under John F. Kennedy. But Kennedy's stimulus to growth wasn't the government's ability to increase its spending. It had to do with the largest tax cuts in the history of the Republic. Dionne is missing the point. 2 wars have added to the debt. When President Obama took office, the debt was $8 trillion. Deficits under the Bush administration were $500 billion. Obama, who as a senator promised to cut the debt in half by the end of his first term, doubled the debt to $16 trillion. The government plans to spend $3.778 trillion this year. More than 60%, or $2.3 trillion, of the spending targets in entitlements. And $223 billion goes to interest payments. Actually, I've read that somewhere else where it's more than that, the interest payments. Alone on the $16 trillion debt. The rest is discretionary spending, in which half is military spending. Government spending over the last 6 years is outspending economic growth. Before the recession, spending was below 20% of GDP. Today, government spending is at its highest level of 24.3% of GDP. It's far from misguided to see how Europe and Japan have coped with their debt to think the United States is immune to sustaining itself following the same path. Okay, I would have a little truck with some of those figures.
Yeah. Well, what needs to be done is the obvious. What we have said so many countless times. It is like Bill Clinton said during the campaign for Barack Obama. It's simple arithmetic. It's common sense. What needs to be done, but it's not done because of corruption. But you can't. All right, you can't. You cannot vote in the corrupt politicians. You cannot elect them or re-elect them. But in order for that to happen, the people have to use their brain.
The Republicans.
Sense. There are too many right-wing fundamentalists, zealot, religious nut cultists out there in the Bible Belt. I don't even want to call it Bible Belt anymore because they don't even know the God of the Bible.
That's correct.
In all these red states that are out of their minds, that keep on voting for people, politicians that do not have their best interests. And therein lies the illogic, as old man Spock would say. Yes. The illogic.
It's all illogic.
All illogical. Why do they vote for people that don't have their best interests at heart? Because they're voting for a religious ideology that has nothing to do with the God of the Bible. And that's why they vote for them. That's why they get in. That's why you have old, ugly, turtle-faced Mitch McConnell and all the other Republican Congress in there, and senators.
Well, there are certain states where the people, Republicans, they call themselves, who will never vote for a Democrat. Because the Democrats have, for over 30 years, been demonized to such an extent that there is no redemption.
Well, because they believe in their false Christianity, their counterfeit Christianity.
Right, but whatever the reason is, what I'm saying is they got no choice to them. They only have one choice. Because
of propaganda, they've been demonized so much.
Right, that they're not going to turn to one of them.
That you can have all the evidence to support.
Exactly.
At a debate, as a Democrat, you can have all the evidence you want, providing you're not a blue dog Democrat, and you won't change their mind.
If you look back at history, and you see when FDR ran against, 4 times he ran against somebody,
mm-hmm.
and the Republican always got votes.
Was it Dewey?
Doesn't matter. No, Dewey was Truman. It doesn't really matter. But the point of it is, the Republicans always got votes.
Yeah.
Now, we just had a recent election with Obama, and Mister gets 3 million less votes than Obama. But he still got them tens of millions of votes. This is the problem. There's no clear-cut choice when we are picking these people or things of that nature. It's always the other side just gets eked out, you know, for the other guy to win. These elections should, the FDR election should never have been close. Never.
Mm-hmm.
Never. And yet they are. How do you explain it?
True. Very true. What do we got there? Anything interesting for the last reading?
Oh, the last, huh?
Because all of our technical difficulties have been solved.
All right, let's see what this is here.
Through trial
and error. Yeah, these two here.
Through trial and error.
2 smart ones.
Since tech support is all outsourced and they don't have a clue, through trial and error, our problems have been solved. Go ahead.
With the growing number of foods, trail mix, potato chips, now gum, boasting added caffeine for an energy boost. The Food and Drug Administration says it is time to investigate their safety. Oh my God, the FDA is going to investigate something.
It reminds me of that recent article that was in the news with New York City Mayor
Bloomberg.
Michael Bloomberg was refused, and I'm surprised that didn't come up. He was refused the second slice of pizza by a particular New York City pizzeria because at a protest concerning the big soda ban. And I am very surprised at our local newspaper for not...
The establishment decided not to give him a second piece? Or did he?
No, the establishment at a protest of Michael Bloomberg, mayor of New York, for banning the big soda, that refused to serve him, I believe, the second slice of pizza, and just to bust his balls. And you know what? The problem is not the big soda. I'll tell you what the problem is. If you go overseas, if you go to another country and you order a Coke or a Pepsi, it has a fraction. It has
a fraction of the junk.
It has a much less sugar content than the Coke or Pepsi sold in the United States.
Yeah.
Whether it be Europe or Latin America, there is so much less sugar in the soft drink overseas. The problem is the amount of sugar that's in the American sold sodas or iced teas or whatever. It is not the content, the volume of the soda. It is the ingredients of the soda sold in the United States. I told you that the European formula of Ovaltine has no added sugar in it whatsoever. The first ingredient is malt extract. There is no added sugar in the European and Asian version of Ovaltine. Now, the same Ovaltine sold in the United States has sugar as one of the predominant ingredients. So Americans, food companies want Americans to consume a lot of sugar and become addicted to sugar.
That's all we can taste is sugar and salt.
Which causes obesity, which causes people to get sick and end up in the hospital, and the drug companies make money, and the doctors make money, and you whatever, and it goes around and around and around.
Yes, it's not a healthcare system; it's a disease care system.
And you cull the herd some more because you kill off a lot of the mainstream that are sick, and it goes. It's like a revolving door; it just goes around and around and around. And I'm serious. So the problem is not the big soda. Go after the food companies that are loading up soft drinks with a tremendous amount of sugar.
And besides, you should not be drinking with your meals. It dilutes the stomach acid and may cause heartburn.
I like to drink after my meals.
20 minutes, half hour after.
I don't take a couple bites and then a sip. A couple bites and then a sip. I eat afterwards. And what's wrong with nice filtered or ice cold spring water with lemon, a fresh lemon or lime squeezed into it?
Love it.
And maybe a packet of stevia if you want to make lemonade. What's wrong with just drinking a hot cup of tea with no sugar added? What's wrong with this? Why does it have to be a soft drink loaded with sugar? Or sweet tea that they like to advertise in the United States?
Tea?
Everything is sweet tea, you know, with a southern accent. Everything is sweet tea, sweet tea.
The FDA's new look came in response to a caffeinated gum introduced this week by Wrigley called Alert Energy Gum.
Oh, like it reminds me of that 5-Hour Energy
5-Hour
commercial
Energy.
with the little red bottle.
Yeah, they got a new commercial on defending the caffeine, making it of less prominence, and touting the vitamins and things instead.
That's where your energy's coming from, people.
The right energy right now The agency is already investigating the safety of energy drinks and energy shots promoted by Consumer Reports of illness and death. Michael Taylor. Michael Taylor, he worked for, I believe it was Monsanto, I'm not sure, one of the big companies. And then, of course, he moved over to the FDA so that he could prevent any kind of regulations on his old company. Michael Taylor, FDA's Deputy Commissioner of Food, said on Monday that the only time the FDA explicitly approved the added use of caffeine in a food or drink was in the 1950s for colas. The current proliferation of caffeine added to foods is beyond anything FDA envisioned.
Really? Interesting.
The FDA is a lapdog for the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry.
But is the
In fact, they are supported by them.
Is the USDA also in bed with the
That is correct.
the food industry and the
That is correct. The USDA does not work
and big pharma?
in the interest of the small farmer. Okay?
And you got these stupid Americans that watch commercials during primetime TV. Oh, it has the heart healthy stamp of approval. It has the FDA stamp of approval. Well, I'm sure people that watch these idiotic commercials for, let's say, Similac baby formula are not told that it contains so much sugar and GMO soy that is poisonous for your child.
Wasn't it just a while ago from China? Was that not baby formula or something?
Yes.
Besides the cat and dog food.
It was baby
with the
formula.
melamine in it?
The melamine, yes. Cat and dog foods and baby formula from mainland China with melamine in it, and some people lost their pets to the melamine.
Yeah.
Because why? Because American companies can't pay a decent living wage to an American worker. Oh no, they have to outsource the jobs.
The melamine was put in there to pretend that there was more protein in the product than there was.
Pretend, like to fake you out.
Yeah.
To fake you out, like the company that injects water into the chicken.
Yeah. Or the butcher that puts his thumb on a scale. You know what the Bible says about those things?
Usury? No.
God does not like those things. You must be fair in weights and measures.
God doesn't even like it when you charge high interest to your fellow man.
No interest. God does not deal in interest.
I saw a banner of, remember what we were talking about, this cooperative group of local organic farms where if you have excess of something, you put it out for other for bartering, for trading with other people, and
how about for the poor?
Maybe for the poor and the homeless. You know, I mean,
okay,
that is the way mankind is supposed to raise food, locally, organic, and sharing and donating and trading with other local organic farms, and not privatizing and having our food supply controlled by a big corporation.
Private property in that sense should be, here's that word again, regulated.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a corporation in charge of your food.
These people out there that are running conspiracy theory web pages that blame big government for everything, and never ever blame corporations for anything.
Not the government.
I got news for you. I would trust big government long before I would ever trust a corporate CEO.
Remember, a government is only as good as the people running the system. And right now, we have only corrupt people in the system.
Wow.
So what kind of government is that?
Yeah.
We have a fascist government, by the way, because it is married to the corporations.
Which is the definition by Mussolini, right?
Mussolini,
of a fascism,
you know,
a fascism.
corporate control of government.
Yeah.
That's fascism.
Did you finish that reading?
Yes, that reading, but I got another one here.
Another goodie?
A smallie.
Well, since I have a new format of taking the individual video clips and putting more title names above them, I am able to utilize much more in title names than before when we just had one video.
A woman was convicted
Yeah.
on Monday of drugging her estranged husband and cutting off his penis and tossing it in the garbage disposal.
Is she related to Lorena Bobbitt?
I don't know. This one's from California.
Ecuadorian woman that was married to John Wayne Bobbitt.
Bobbitt, yeah. No. I was thinking of John Wayne Gacy there for a
No,
minute.
John Wayne, and he was Bob. That Robin was Bob Bobbitt along. His dick was Bobbitt.
Yeah, but how
along
the hell did he make a porn movie later or whatever?
Well, after it got sewed on, he wanted to prove to himself and the public that it worked.
I don't know how it would work.
I don't know how well it would work.
I presume it would just hang there.
Yeah, I mean, like many creatures, like lizards that have the ability to detach their tails to escape danger, the second regenerated tail is never as good as the original tail.
Oh.
No, it's true. Many of them grow back as a stub.
Jurors found Catherine Kieu, K-I-E-U, guilty of torture and aggravated mayhem
Oh my God.
in the July 2011 attack.
Now she cut off the man's penis or his testicles also?
Penis and threw it in the garbage.
Threw in the
Disposal.
garbage. Garbage disposal.
Ground it up in a sink, baby.
So you can't be sewed back on. He would have to get like a donkey dick or a horse penis transplant.
Oh my God.
Or something.
Q was jealous and angry about her husband's plans to divorce her. The prosecution said she faces a maximum sentence of life in prison with the possibility of parole.
That poor man.
Oh, man. You know, it's a strange thing.
I'm surprised she didn't cut everything off lock, stock,
yeah,
and
but
barrel.
for something like that, it's surprising that you don't bleed to death.
Yeah.
And I was also surprised, you know, with this bombing in Boston. The one female, I think it was, lost her leg.
Yeah.
Like maybe up to here, you know, just below the hip.
Yeah.
And the fireman or policeman or something that was
how do you control the bleeding?
Yeah, well, he got somebody's belt. He got another guy's belt, and they put it on as a tourniquet. But how the hell do you prevent, you know, from bleeding to death?
I mean, they take
even when you get to the hospital.
They take a major artery from the thigh to transplant, often for bypass. Sometimes with bypass surgery. So how do you control that kind of bleeding when major arteries in the thigh are severed? And I also saw gruesome photos after that Boston bombing of a man who had his leg blown off. Half of his thigh was off, and the rest.
Yeah.
And
two brothers.
And the femur bone was this long. It was the white femur bone
sticking
out, and the flesh around the femur bone was off. And I don't know if that could be reattached when
no, the leg would. Like the two brothers got that. That's what happened, and the one was thinking that he saw his leg over there, and he thought about like getting the leg and taking it to the hospital, maybe they could reattach
Putting it on ice.
you know. But
What do you mean brothers? You mean the...
two brothers were there, and they got both of them lost legs.
Oh, you mean
In the
innocent brothers, not the perpetrators.
No,
Innocent brothers.
innocent brothers. Yeah,
Yeah, because you have to put the body part on ice.
yeah. And in such a situation, how the hell are you going to do that?
First, you
Yeah.
have the shock of the blast.
Yeah,
And then when everybody realizes what has happened, then you have the paramedics and the police showing up and establishing what happened. That takes time. And then you have, with all the mayhem, you have people looking for the perpetrators, and then you have people looking at the victims, and you have to determine, all right, this victim is here without legs. Where is his leg nearby? And can we save it? And blah, blah, blah. And, all this takes time.
I'll bet you one thing though. In incidences like that, those who have this willingness to serve or whatever, etc., they run towards that problem. But I'll bet you rich people ran the other way.
There's no compassion with rich people. There's no
Because they
compassion.
just don't do that.
The only,
that's Ayn Rand, baby.
The
You
only-
don't do that.
the only rich person with compassion is one that went from a rags to riches, self-made
Not always.
situation. Sometimes they forget where they came
That's
from.
correct.
In other words, they forget.
And they did it all themselves.
In other words, they completely forget where they came from. They forget their friends. They forget their family. They forget their background, and they become selfish scumbags.
They become
Scumbag.
they become worse than yeah, I can do it all by yourself.
So instead of giving back to the old community, like if you came from a poor neighborhood and you're a wealthy, let's say, professional athlete, and instead of going back to the neighborhood and building a children's center for the kids, or maybe a homeless shelter, or low, where Gary Null mentioned in New York City, abandoned office buildings converted into housing for the poor and low-income people, or something for the kids, to get the kids off the street and keep them out of trouble. A community center, building something like that.